How do you fit both Trump and Zelensky into a single summit, avoid any new conflicts, and hope there won't be any scandalous statements? The 34th NATO summit is kicking off in The Hague, and it's been narrowed down to a single meeting format. It will last 2.5 hours. It was planned that the discussion would focus exclusively on increasing defense spending to 5%. However, the heads of NATO member states simply can't avoid discussing the consequences of the American strike on Iran. TSN special correspondent Yana Slesarchuk reports on what's happening behind the scenes at the summit right now.
The 34th NATO summit is the first ever held in the Netherlands. And it was necessary that he should become so responsible. Security measures here are at the highest level because after the American strikes on Iran, anything can be expected. But what we definitely do not expect is for the member states of the alliance to completely forget about Ukraine, even if the American president might want that.
Back in Washington, we decided that Ukraine's path to NATO is irreversible. And right now, as we speak, we are building that bridge. Of course, I can't say anything yet about the upcoming final declaration of the summit, but we can definitely expect some very important statements about Ukraine and support for Ukraine.
Up until the last moment, there were doubts about whether Volodymyr Zelensky would come here after the summit was reformatted into such a show of minimalism. He is speaking at the Defense Industries Forum, holding a joint meeting with Secretary General Rutte, President of the European Council Antonio Costa, and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen.
Technically, we can produce over 8 million different types of drones per year, but we don't have enough money for that. At the same time, Russia is using not only the profits from oil sales for the war, but also resources from other regimes like North Korea and Iran. I ask you to make sure that your countries or your companies do not help Russia and its allies. This is extremely important. No significant weapon in Russia is produced without components purchased from other countries, unfortunately, including some countries in Europe or even NATO.
Zelensky himself stated that a meeting with Trump is being planned. He said that teams from both sides are currently preparing for this meeting. But if it does take place, it won't happen before the evening or even tomorrow, since Trump will not arrive in The Hague before the dinner or, more precisely, the formal luncheon being hosted here by His Majesty the King of the Netherlands to mark the opening of the summit. In fact, President Zelensky is also expected to attend this event. The American president, unless something changes in the next few hours, is likely to arrive in the Netherlands angry because Israel and Iran, despite his recent calls for peace, have exchanged strikes. And this led to a harsh outburst of swearing on live television just before boarding the plane. Just in case, we'll translate it a bit more mildly.
These two countries have been fighting for so long and so fiercely that they have no idea what the hell they're doing anymore. You get it?
Trump's frustration is easy to understand, since the United States essentially became a party to this conflict after the American strikes on Iran. So one way or another, this topic will definitely be discussed tomorrow, either around or even during the only official meeting of NATO heads of state, which will begin at 11:30 a.m. Kiev time tomorrow. Nearly half of all law enforcement officers in the Netherlands, along with 10,000 military personnel, are working around the clock to ensure that this summit goes smoothly and peacefully, safeguarding security on land, in the air, and at sea. Reporting from The Hague, Yana Slesarchuk, Andriy Marchenko, TSN 1+1.
And now, more details about the Middle East, which caused Trump to lash out with insults. The American president told reporters that he was extremely dissatisfied with the start of mutual shelling, especially by the Israeli side. On the social network Truth Social, Trump wrote in all caps to Tel Aviv, "Don't drop bombs. If you do, it will be a major violation. Immediately bring the pilots home." End of quote. According to Trump, the reason for the breakdown of the ceasefire was a missile from the Iranian side, which was supposedly launched by accident. The ceasefire was violated just a few hours after it was supposed to begin. Almost immediately, Israel's defense minister ordered intensive strikes in response to Iran, and supposedly Tel Aviv hit a radar site. There are casualties on both sides as a result of the shelling. In Tehran, they completely deny any violation of the ceasefire. At the same time, the office of the Israeli Prime Minister, after talks with the Americans, promised not to drop any more bombs. Earlier, Israel stated that it agreed to the peace proposal because it had achieved its objectives, namely eliminating the threat of nuclear weapons use and inflicting serious damage on Iran's military leadership. According to CNN, the Iranians were already being persuaded by the Prime Minister of Qatar, and all this is happening against the backdrop of Iranian forces shelling American military bases in Qatar and Syria the day before. This shelling was Iran's response to the United States dropping bombs on Iranian nuclear facilities, specifically targeting the underground center in Fordow, which was located inside a mountain. How could the escalation in the Middle East affect Ukraine's future? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I'll continue with the TSN broadcast. A joint operation by Ukraine's Defense Intelligence and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. 31 of our fellow citizens were successfully evacuated from Iran. This includes 5 men, 12 women, and 14 children. The evacuation was carried out via transit through Azerbaijan to Moldova. Now all these people are already on their way to Kiev, and this was the final stage of a comprehensive operation by the main intelligence directorate and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to rescue Ukrainian citizens from high-risk areas. The day before, 176 people were evacuated from Israel, of whom 133 are Ukrainian citizens.